I'm Amy Caldwell. I'm a real estate agent with Palmer House Properties. I'm here with my friend Robbie Crozier. Robbie is the senior loan officer with Shelter Mortgage. Robbie, thank you so much for being here today.
Glad to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I know you all are interested in what's going on in the market right now with interest rates and all that. We're all anxiously waiting to see what the spring season is going to be like. So can you share with us a little bit about what we can expect in the up and coming days? Get your crystal ball out.
That's what it takes, right? I wish we had a crystal ball, but I think most projections are that we've seen the worst of mortgage rates last year. We're not going to see those record low 3 to 4% 30-year fixed rates that we saw back in the pandemic, but rates in the 7s hopefully are in the rearview mirror for a while.
Oh, I hope so.
Because that was some sticker shock for all of us last year. So as we speak here at the end of January, rates are kind of in the low 6s right now for a 30-year fixed, and I think most projections are that mortgage rates will be in the 5s at some point this year.
Oh, fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Low 5s, high 5s, how long? Those are the questions we don't know yet. But hopefully a better year this year for mortgage rates. That's what tends to be the projections. And like I said, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it plays out that way.
Can we get our money back for the crystal ball?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. We'll have to find out, right?
So what drew you to this business in the first place? What made you want to be a mortgage broker?
I've been in about 21 years, actually. I'm in my 22nd year as a loan officer. And so I was getting fuzzy as to how long ago it was as to why I got in. But
you're not that old, are you?
Not actually. I got in when I was 12, so something like that. I like numbers. I know my way around numbers pretty well, so that's a natural fit for me. And I love helping people and being around people, so that's also a good fit. And just home buying. Everybody loves homes. Are fun, right? It's fun to talk about homes and look at homes, and so I get to be a big part of that. So you kind of put those three things together, and I thought, let me give it a try.
And you are a great people person. One thing I love about Robbie is he's so good about walking people through the process, especially new home buyers who don't understand what's going on. You're so calm and patient with people.
Well, thanks for saying that. It's my first-time home buyers are usually my favorite. I tell people I tend to be a bit of an over-explainer at times, which matches up great with first-time home buyers who have a lot of questions. So it's fun, especially that first home purchase is one you never forget, and so it's always fun to work with those first-timers.
I love first-time home buyers. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, totally agree.
So what about people who were, hoping to jump into the 3% or 4% interest rates? What can people do to get their rates a little bit lower when they're still at even 5 or 6%?
Yeah, great question, because we've really had to get creative the last few months, especially the last half of last year as things started to slow down a little bit. So, there's not a great, answer to that. There's always going to be a cost to get the rate lower.
Sure.
Somebody can certainly expend some extra money at closing to buy the interest rate down permanently.
Right.
There are adjustable rate mortgages out there, although they aren't that much better than the fixed rate right now. That may change. But what's really become most popular the last 6 months or so is the buy down mortgage, where you can involve the seller to help contribute some money, where you can make the interest rate go 2% for the first year, for instance, 1% lower the second year, kind of sort of wash away some of the pain of these high interest rates that we're dealing with, while we hope and kind of think that maybe another refinance market is coming our way in the next year or two. So the buy down mortgage, so you can see there's 3 or 4 different ways. Again, there's no free lunch, but there's 3 or 4 different ways to help with some of the pain of these higher rates that we are quickly faced with.
Well, it's good to know. I mean, it's there are things that you can do for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of lenders out there. Why would people want to use like Shelter Mortgage as opposed to like, well, I bank at Wells Fargo or another large banking institution?
It's a question we get a lot because you have a lot of choices with lenders. We get that. To compare directly, with the banking industry, that is really a different segment of the mortgage industry, is how you can originate mortgages. So, the banking industry, getting a loan through a big bank, it can be a good experience. They're obviously known for, being more cumbersome and just more red tape and longer process and more challenges. The appraisal piece can be, challenging with the big banks.
Right. So why is that? Why is that more challenging?
Because they've just needed to really make that process cookie cutter for everybody, with it being a big bank. And so they are going to just basically ship out that appraisal process to a third party vendor who's going to handle it. And you may get a good appraiser, you may not.
Because they may not know the area.
They may not know the area. I could tell lots of stories over the years of inexperienced appraisers coming down from Gainesville or coming up from Macon to an Atlanta market that's totally different because they needed the business and they got the order, and that's just how it worked. And then you're asking for trouble, when you get that situation. So that's one reason, they usually, the big bank is going to usually just kind of have their going rate today. And maybe it's good one week, but not good the next week. The contrast would be here at Shelter Mortgage. We're more of a direct lender that is able to place the loan through different entities and shop around, and yet we still maintain the full control of the process from start to finish. Our headquarters is right over there in Norcross. Underwriters are local, processors are local, everybody's here local. We're invested in the Atlanta metro area, and so doing a great job is just crucially important to us.
The better reputation, the more likely you are to get referred out to other
That
people,
is true.
right?
That is true. And along those lines, we hear that, several times a year from listing agents. Hey, we got a pre-qualification letter from Big Bank and we got one from Shelter. We're familiar with Shelter being a local lender, and my seller took the offer because it was Shelter. So we do hear that.
I get that a lot. Yeah. So you've been in the industry for, what did you say, 22, 23
21 years? 21. In year 22.
Yeah. What's a crazy, wild story? What are some crazy things you've heard?
Boy, I guess the ones that probably stick out the most to me are, assets. Documenting assets can always be tricky on a mortgage. And on more than one occasion, I have, dug into that whole process and found out that my client, your buyer, my borrower, their cash wasn't in the bank. It was in a safe or in a mattress or somewhere crazy like that. And those are some normal people as well. So, we can never document cash as a source for down payment.
Good thing to know.
Yep. And so on multiple occasions, I've had to tell the client, hey, you need to go home right now. Put that money in the bank. You have to season for a month or two,
trust
so we
the
can
system a little
trust
bit.
the system a little bit. Trust the banking industry. One guy mentioned a mad ex-wife that he was afraid was going to come into the house and steal his money. It was years and years ago. So you never know where the money might be and where it's coming from. One other client had sold a bunch of rare coins in Mexico, and I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars of rare coins he had sold, and he had just gotten all this cash, and I'm like, we can't use that. You got to put it in the bank and we can use it in a couple months. So those are some of the stories that stick out. I'm sure there's other transactional, situations that have been interesting, but never a dull moment. Every mortgage, every real estate transaction is its own puzzle that you got to put together and figure out.
Keeps your brain.
That's right.
going.
That's right. Keeps us fresh, right?
It does. Well, thank you so much. This has been so interesting, and I hope it's been enlightening for you. How can people reach out to you if they want your business or they want to learn a little bit more?
Would love to speak with anybody who has mortgage needs or just has questions. I'm here for that. Like I said, I'm an over-explainer, so I'm happy to answer questions. My website is just simply RobbieCrozier.com, RobbieCrozier.com, and you'll see all my contact info, email address, everything right on there.
Yep, and I'll have it in the blog as well. So, Robbie, thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you, Amy. I enjoyed it.
So nice to talk to you. Once again, I'm Amy Caldwell. I'm a real estate agent with the Marshall Berch Group at Palmer House Properties.